Welcome back for some more science. I am your host, Boston, PhD. I'm joined as always by Dr. Moon.
Hi.
Wanted to play a quick play. Want to talk about a quick
Equip.
thing. I'm so tired today. Wanted to mention here
Whiplash is
very
a whole
quickly.
different game, dude. That's not a roguelike.
That's right. Next game we're going to be playing is Streets of Rogue. Forgot to decide that before our last episode last time, so we're going to play the
As we
Streets.
often do. Like,
Yeah,
let's face it.
we're focused on talking about the game here. So we're finally going to get around to playing Streets of Rogue. So we're going to play that for the next month. Hopefully you will join us. Before we get to that, we're going to do some science here on Returnal. We're going to talk about our final thoughts here. We ask a big question of the month, which is, will you continue to play this game after you're done with it? And we'll figure out where it fits on the big list of the best roguelikes of all time. Don't forget, you can see the most up-to-date list over at weroguelikeit.com. And that has all the links, all where places you can buy it, listen to, watch our coverage, all that stuff. weroguelikeit.com. All right, Moon.
Uh-huh.
What are your final thoughts here on Returnal? And are you going to keep playing it?
I probably will, if I'm honest. I think I already knew your answer to this, which is probably a no, because you've milked as much as you potentially can out of this game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. And it's a mixture of things. It's time, it's platformer choice, it's technical
Right.
difficulties. You know, you take your pick on that front.
Bluetooth hauntedness. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Bluetooth.
It's controller not charging when I needed it to be charged. You know, the
Yep.
usual stuff, really.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably keep playing it because now I don't have the. It's going to go one of two ways. I'm going to keep playing it and enjoy it and get through to it, and then it'll make it somewhere on my top 10 list at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Or because I'm not pushed to play it, I will forget it exists and never play it again.
Right. There's no middle ground there. It's like, yeah, I'm
100%.
dedicated to it. I'll finish it. I'll see the true ending. Or, whoops, I just didn't have the time.
I mean, ironically enough as well, is it's not on my Xbox, so it doesn't put. I was going to say it doesn't push that hard drive constraint on me. Check out this week's regular show for the old game I'm playing to clear hard drive space.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't push that on me, but it is on my PC and it is installed to my OS drive, and my OS drive is very small.
True.
So slight problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you enjoy it in the end, you think?
I do. I did, and I do. I kind of wish it clicked more with other people in my group of people,
Right.
so I could potentially play it with them. The problem is it doesn't have crossplay, so I can't play it with you.
Exactly.
I can't play it with Bills. I can't play it with any of the PlayStation people who like have it on their consoles, because I can only play it on the PC with PC people. I did get another 2017 body this week, by the way, and I was like, "What is going on? Why is this 2017? Did people just not set their times on their PCs?
Time traveling,
Like,
apparently. Sheesh.
I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I think its major downside is it's a very difficult game, difficult game, but also the controls are quick, like real quick. Like, I know it's in their design nature that a lot of the stuff they do are quote unquote bullet hells,
Right.
kind of design. But when I think of the other kind of shooty games that we've got or that we've played in the history of this, like the majority of them run a lot slower. Like a lot slower than this does. Like the movement is slower, the combat is slower.
I mean, we complained about that with stuff like Gunfire Reborn, where it's like, I want it to just be faster. Like, I don't want it to be, the fastest game. I don't want it to be Quake 1, but I want it to move at a faster clip.
This feels as fast, if not faster, than Quake 1 is the problem.
Yeah,
like,
it's very fast.
It's super quick, and the problem with being super quick is a mistake can be very punishing on a run that's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour. It's the long run problem, which we've talked about before.
Right.
again, Gungeon is a great example of this. Like, Enter the Gungeon can be very, very crazy with what's going on the screen, but it's never super fast. It
Hmm.
can be fast at times, but it's never super duper quick.
True.
Like, it feels like this is not in the middle ground, but on the faster end of things, and it's fine. It's what they designed it to be. It's just something that I personally have struggled with because I'm not a teenager anymore, and I
Right.
can't sit here and play for 3, 4, 5 hours on the bounce because controller and not wanting to give myself 4 days worth of agony,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably won't keep playing Returnal because I'm at the point where I need to do the Act 3 stuff, and I don't want to run the game that many more times to get all the stuff that I need to do the thing. Also, don't really like the final boss. I think it's too easy, which like I know is a heck of a complaint, but like I think that the very final boss is a little bit too simple, um, which is also like a side effect of you just being too strong by the time you're at the end of the game. Um,
Hmm.
so like I kind of don't want to do all of that stuff. I'd like to see where the story ends, but I'm not gonna keep grinding and grinding and grinding on it, especially when I have like 400 incredible indie games that came out in May 2024 alone. So like there's no lack of other things to play. Um, I still really like Returnal. I think it's an incredible action game. I think it, like we keep saying, it feels so good. Like the controls are perfect. I still just like dashing every which direction. You know, I like a game that has an air dash, but I especially like one that lets you dash like back towards the camera. Especially, you don't just have to. You know, some games will only let you dash the direction you're moving already, and Returnal doesn't do that. Has some really cool weapons. Not all of them are great, which I respect. I don't think they all need to be winners. Um,
Yeah.
but the thing that I still struggle with is how is Returnal as a roguelike? We talked especially last week about our not frustrations, but maybe our desires about I wish there was more meta progression. I know that's not really the way that Returnal was designed, but it feels like, especially going back and playing this game, it still sort of feels like, okay, like when am I going to start unlocking stuff? Like when am I going to start doing this
Yes.
stuff? And the game is sort of like, that's no, we're not we're not doing that. Which again is fine, but I think um, that means the game relies a lot more on thumb skill than maybe you investing in the meta progression, which I think
Hmm.
you and I have historically been people that like investing in the run over run between the run meta progression stuff. Um, so that's part of what I struggle with Returnal is I I do think it's a roguelike. It's not like we're coming in here like Darkest Dungeon and being like, I mean, I guess you could technically say Darkest Dungeon is a roguelike, but when every run takes 2 weeks to complete, that sort of seems like it veers away from the
2 weeks. That's on the low side, dude.
yeah, like you're running a campaign as opposed to like a run. So like that kind of veers away from that, and I think even though Returnal does trend towards longer runs, I think it definitely still is a roguelike, but you know, I think some of the issues with it, I think maybe talking about the list of the best roguelikes of all time maybe kind of pushes it down the list. You're talking about the best like action shooting, like third person shooting games of all time. It's a pretty great one of those. But
Yeah.
as a roguelike, maybe not the best one we have here in the list. So, all right, let's. Speaking of the list, let's start it here. We're gonna start at number 30. Is Returnal better than Crown Trick? Couldn't be more different types of roguelikes here. Is it better than Crown Trick?
I think so. I much prefer the action rather than the RTS nature.
Yeah, I like Crown Trick for being kind of the traditional, turn-based roguelike that it is. Crown Trick still has an incredible art style too, but I agree. I think I like Returnal a little bit better. Is Returnal better than
Hmm.
Spelunky, a true classic of the genre?
Speaking of no meta progression,
And speaking of like tough as nails games,
yeah,
although it's now that I'm thinking about it, the two of them have a lot more DNA in common that I thought. Like opening up shortcuts that allow you to skip individual areas, and kind of using that to have the risk reward of like, all right, you can start in Spelunky's second or third area to begin with no upgrades and try and make some progress, or are you gonna milk everything out of the first couple of areas first?
yeah. Hmm.
I feel like Returnal clicks with me more than Spelunky. I think they're both really great, but I think how Returnal plays, I think I gravitate more towards naturally than Spelunky.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Where am I on my list? Here we go. Is Returnal better than Descenders? Ooh, Descenders is great.
Oh, it's very, very good.
Also, like non-traditional roguelikes. Like both of those aren't like either the turn-based kind of traditional ones or they're
If
aping
you
Binding
if
of
you would
Isaac
have
or
told me
something.
before we did it that someone made a Dave Mirra roguelike game,
Uh-huh.
I would have called you crazy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely would have done. And I think if it wasn't for me literally just seeing it on Game Pass and playing it, that we eventually covered it for this show. Like
Yep.
Descenders is Descenders is the Aladdin of this list. It
Mm.
is a diamond in the rough, and I mean that because sometimes it can be rough to play that game.
Right,
Like
right.
it has flaws, it has faults, it has problems. It
Mm-hmm.
genuinely is not a perfect game. Um, I think I do have to put this above it just on scope and budget alone. Descenders is a golden game
Mm-hmm.
for like that small indie team to just be like, yo, let's see if this works. And spoiler alert, it works a lot.
Oh yeah.
Um, but Returnal just on scope and budget and like we don't see them enough.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't. There isn't. You look at our roguelike list here and name a game in this list that probably has a budget over 500,000, let alone a million.
Right,
A
right.
budget that has over 500,000. There's
I
what?
think the only thing you might be able to say here is like maybe Risk of Rain 2 maybe had a big
Yeah,
budget, but like a lot of these sort of by default have smaller teams, smaller budgets.
yeah, and they come up with something fantastically incredible because of it.
Yep.
Like, I think we have to give Returnal runs smoother if you want a general reason for why it should be above
Sure.
Descenders, because Descenders can have some issues. You yourself run into
Hmm.
constant tech issues when you were trying to
Right.
play that game.
And that happens
I
with
didn't.
small
You
teams.
did.
Yeah.
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 It's not a jab against Descenders. It's still in the top 30 of our 30. If it was up to me, it'd be like number two, but that,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right. All right. Is Returnal better than Wizard of Legend?
Oh, there's a game that's got crispness to it as well.
And
But
teeth.
again, yeah, I was gonna say again, really, really, really hard, like impossibly difficult at points. I never did check whether Wizard of Legend was one of those early access games. So, like this is
Yeah.
too easy kind of problems.
I feel like with me for Wizard of Legend, I never felt like I got to the point where the game was getting easier because I knew more, I unlocked more stuff, or I was getting better at it. I think you kind of have those hills and valleys with Returnal where it's like, all right, I think I've got a good handle on this first area. I can make it through. All right, I finally defeated the boss. Now I'm going to start the second area. All right, I'm going to start struggling to learn new weapons and enemy patterns and stuff like that. All right, I did well enough with that. I beat the second area, and like rinse and repeat for the rest of the areas in the game. And I never felt like I got there with Wizard of Legend. It was always sort of like I'm just going to keep banging my head on this thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great game. Just I never got there with it.
Maybe it was like the meta progression was too slow or whatever the case may be for it, but
right. I think that being said, I think Returnal goes over Wizard of Legend.
Yeah, I can do that.
Is Returnal better than BPM bullets per minute?
The game Boston can't play versus the game he can play.
I can't get anywhere in BPM. I'm just so bad at it. I love it. It's great. I'm just so bad at it.
I mean, I'm fine putting it above it.
Yeah.
I think BPM is so charming. It is so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that game twice because I was determined to support those developers.
That's a great game. Love it. Is Returnal better than Nuclear Throne? Speaking of games with teeth.
Oh, I prefer it to Nuclear Throne, yes. Nuclear Throne is a classic. It is a legend. It is impossibly difficult.
That's one of those great roguelikes you spend $10 on and then you play for the next couple of years. If it clicks with you and you really want to see everything, like it's one of those kind of like Gungeon where it's like you can just keep digging and there's more stuff in there.
True.
But I agree with you. I think Returnal goes over Nuclear Throne. Is Returnal better than Risk of Rain 2? Boy. Risk of Rain 2 is real good.
I really like Risk of Rain.
And real mean when you're looping.
I haven't reached it yet, but it's the argument of the worst final boss in video games.
Right. God, Risk of Rain 2's last level is...
It's so bad, dude.
Miserable.
Like, why would you ever face that boss when you can just loop?
And you can just lose. Like, losing is more fun than fighting that final boss. That's not right. So I think Returnal's better than Risk of Rain 2?
Yeah.
Is Returnal better than Cult of the Lamb? We're getting into them now.
So, I would say yes.
Okay.
And we're going to go on the opposite end of the spectrum here, where I say it is because Cult of the Lamb was too easy.
So we have polar opposite games here.
Yeah, because I love Cult of the Lamb.
It's great.
You know it's easy though when I beat it in 4 weeks and get every single achievement in that game.
That's true.
Every single game on this list that we have covered for this show, as far as I know, I have not gotten every single achievement in any of them.
Not even Atomic
Not a single one of them.
Right.
Except for Isaac. But we roguelike it for that for a year,
a separate show.
Shut up. And except for this, I think this is the only other game that I have even got. Oh wait, no, I think I have them all for Risk of Rain 1 as well.
Yeah, I don't remember if you did that during the 4 week. It doesn't matter.
I didn't.
But
I did it afterwards. Okay. So when it came to the Xbox and they put controller support in it. Liars.
Right. I would be okay with Returnal going over Cult of the Lamb because I think Cult of the Lamb is really great, but I think Returnal's challenge rewards you more than Cult of the Lamb's challenge.
Did you beat those bosses without taking a hit yet? Because I sure did.
No. I was done once I finished that game, and like they're like, all right, you can keep, getting your cult, keep raising your cult, and I'm like, I'm okay. I played through that once,
Yeah.
and I was satisfied with it, so I don't need to keep going. So
Yep. I also like. I genuinely do love Cult of the Lamb. It
yeah,
is my perfect type of game where it is happy, cheery, lucky, with
happy, creepy.
a large undertone of darkness underneath
Mm-hmm.
it, which is 100% my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think Returnal's probably a better game.
I agree. Is Returnal better than Dicey Dungeons? This one's my knee-jerk reaction is yeah. Like
Same,
I
to be
really like
honest.
Dicey Dungeons, but I think Returnal clicks with me more, sort of overall.
Yeah, I think it's probably a better game.
Yeah,
Returnal is than Dicey Dungeons, but I know Dicey Dungeons did not click with me at all.
right. Yeah, it clicked with me a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Returnal better than Has Been Heroes? Oh boy, I always forget about Has Been Heroes, and then we talk about it on this show, and I go, yeah, that game is great.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say yes.
I'm gonna say yes, but that's just because the combat in Has Been Heroes is very cool, very unique, very much not for me.
I get so mind flooded when I play Has Been Heroes, where I'm just like, all of the things are happening too much. Like,
Yes.
that game is so good though. Man, go play Has Been Heroes. It's great. Is Returnal better than Loop Hero? Oh boy. I
I will say it first. No,
okay.
it's
Go
not.
ahead.
Um,
I
I
think
don't think it is. I don't think it is because Loop Hero is one of those perfect examples of super unique. We've talked about it a lot. A
yep.
lot. Go through the games in this list, folks. Like, go check out weroguelike.com and look at the list. The
Mm-hmm.
amount of uniqueness in each individual game is astonishing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Loop Hero is super unique. I think Loop Hero has everything that you need. It has. Oh, speaking of games, I got full gamer score on. There's one. There's
Hey, there
another
you
one
go.
right
Yeah,
there.
a recent
It
recent
only
1,000
it only
point
took
one.
me 4 years to do it, but I
That's
did I
right.
did get there. And that's why I think Returnal doesn't go above this, because Returnal has got a wall. You hit that wall, and you hit that wall, and you hit that wall.
Yep.
I think Loop Hero has got a really cool entry point. It's got a really cool development, and the difficulty doesn't spike. It slowly but surely increases,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got that. Okay, you want to play it for 8 hours and be done? Fine, do that and be done. Or in my
Sure.
case, you want to play it for 40 hours and do the grind to get
Right.
those
Get everything.
materials.
Right.
You can do that too. And oh boy, will that chapter 4 kick you in the teeth
Mm-hmm.
really badly. But you don't have to do that. You can
Right.
just do chapters 1, 2, or 3, or whatever you want to do.
And I
I think
think okay.
it's a good middle ground of it starts easy-ish, not
Mm-hmm.
easy, easy-ish, and just slowly increases the difficulty until you get to that final chapter and it's nightmarish. But also, there's so much meta progression throughout the
Yeah.
entirety of that game. And that feeling when you discover that you put a card next to another card and something weird happens, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It's such a good feeling.
And again, I think as much as we like how Returnal plays, I think Loop Hero is a better roguelike. It's not just because of the meta progression. Like, you are, every time you die in Returnal, the loop starts back over. And you're trying to figure out how to break out of that loop, which is why the middle of that game is so good. But I think for me and as we talked about at the beginning of this episode, for my and our kind of meta progression preferences, I think Loop Hero is better, is a better roguelike, personally.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, which means Returnal is our number 21 game. That is still a really great spot to be in this list of. Let me scroll down to how many games we have. 60. This is our 61st game in this list. So you're in that top third. You're sitting there amongst giants. So, and again, very few of these games that we have played have been outright bad. So you kind of can't go wrong with playing most of the games on this list. And Returnal is definitely one of those that I can easily recommend.
If you want to know about the bad, you just go check out weroguelike.com, look at the bottom of the list, and go listen to those episodes.
Yeah, they're not all of them are total winners. So sometimes some bad games come out, or games that just don't click with us. So. Don't forget, next month we're going to be playing Streets of Rogue. Seems to be available on pretty much anything, and we'll be checking that out. And we hope you'll continue with us next run. Bye.
Bye.